Hello, I'm Angela Kanwar. Welcome to the Spots of Time podcast, where we delve into people's lives and look at the challenges that arise and how they actually manage those situations. But ultimately, what toolkit do they use to actually navigate those situations?
Thank you, Colin and Mandy, for joining me on the podcast. Really appreciate it. So, in terms of your family life, can you paint a picture of what that looked like in general?
The family, we laughed, we joked, we fought with each other, all that sort of stuff that goes on. And with Greg, he was really lively. He was involved in the motorsport speedway, so that was his sort of biggest tie-up with myself. I've been involved with speedway for years, and Greg just followed suit, wanted to race. He had this racing thing he said, so he'd done everything else he'd wanted to do. He did rugby, he did cross-country running, he's done a bit of boxing, but he's loved more speedway. He had this thing about racing motorbikes without brakes, but that obviously came from myself. So you get right into that, and he was going off to college to take the next stage of his life just to do film and TV media. But no, it was great. We were on holiday together. He came across to Australia. We were over in Australia together. It was just normal family, day-to-day living, and we went to football together with the father and son football thing as well. And then he had other interests which he would share with Mandy, which was a good thing about it.
Really?
Yes, very good cook. He cooked for everyone at the uni. When he was there, he said no one could cook. So he actually got us to get him a booker's card. Yes. So he'd go and buy the food in bulk, and they would all share the bill, and then he would cook the meals and they had to clean them up.
That's incredible.
He wasn't so good at cleaning up, but
there's always one side. There's always one side where you fall down. You're great at the cooking, but someone else can do the clearing up. So ultimately, you were very close, and as you say, motorsports and leading your life with your children every day. But I had that great relationship with them. Could you talk us through what happened when Greg said, "Right, I want to go off to study and film and production"? What was he feeling, and what was the build up to that?
Well, he actually changed directions when he was going to leave school. He thought he was going to join the police. He was considering becoming a lawyer. And then all of a sudden he walked in one day and said, "I'm going to do film and TV media." Totally out of the blue. And
I don't know where it came from.
He just suddenly came away, and the school had a section of the pupils that did film and TV stuff, but he was never part of that. And he just suddenly decided, "This is what I want to do." I took him through a couple of the colleges, and he'd say where he wanted to go. He then had to make a short film to get access into the college to show what he could do, and I helped him along with that as well. I did some of his filming for him, and he got into college, and he was at first he was traveling to and from, but we stayed 45 to 50 miles away from the college. So he said, the weather's going to get worse. He hadn't long passed his driving test. He'd only passed his driving test in late July, and this was him off to college at the end of September. And he said, it'd be much better if I could go out to the halls of residence. And it made sense, because where we stay, the weathers can be a bit wild, and for a new driver, it could have been quite challenging. So it made sense for him to go through there. And the other way I looked at it was he could also get a part-time job. Because he was in Edinburgh, whereas we stay rural, there's not many opportunities here for him, but he could get a part-time job there and link up with his college. So that was really the big thing for him. And he moved out there, and he started to get his new friends and start his new life. So he was bright and bubbly, and it was a big adventure beginning for him.
So ultimately excited about what was to come in terms of just studying and new pastures, new friends, as you are at that stage of your life. And how did you feel about it? Because obviously it's hard when any of your children leave home. Were you sort of supportive of that decision?
Yeah, I was supportive of it, because I could understand where he was coming from when he was saying the travelling was going to get to him. And yes, as I said, the weather here is quite horrendous. So I thought, it's safer that he's in the college environment where he just walks out of his class and goes into his hall of residence, rather than trying to drive 45 miles in the snow. So, it made sense for him to be there. And I also thought it would, make him a bigger part of what was going on. And it would be easier for him to make new friends, because he's there all the time. And I thought, yes, that was the way. It was the best way to go.
Yeah. And what was his experience when he was sort of talking about college in terms of the people he was meeting and the kind of friends he was making? Did you get an idea of what it was like for him?
He was excited because he was going to the college. There were different age groups. So they were all just his age. There were a couple that were older than him. They're all coming from different backgrounds. Now, that's one thing he's always been interested in is people from different areas. And that's one of the things that he picked up from Speedway, because Speedway is all over the UK, and it's fans coming from as far south as Isle of Wight and Plymouth coming to Glasgow, and riders coming from these different areas who are his age group and different countries. So he was meeting Australians and Poles, and of course this was to him fantastic. A lot of them were older, and he was learning from them. He would listen, he would pick up. And of course, there was the ones that were his own age group, so they were all bounced off. They're racing 1 minute, and then after they finished racing, it's like a carry on, and you'd realise, they're just kids again. Once they came off the bikes, they were just having this carry on and try to throw each other over a fence or something daft, But that was him.
It's a real adrenaline rush for him, really.
Yeah, he really enjoyed life. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He had it all planned ahead. He was a very, very positive person. I wish I had the positivity that he had. I remember he put in for a job and he had to wait something like 3 weeks. And I was saying, well, why don't you look for a job? Oh, don't worry about it, Mum. I'll get it. I'll get the job. He did. He got the job.
Yeah.
But, just nothing bothered him. But he wasn't daft. We brought him up to be very careful and to watch and learn a lot. But we also brought him up to be honest and to talk to us about anything. That's something that we can say, that all our children will talk to us about anything.
That's pretty important.
Which is the most important. That's why we knew there was something wrong.
Yeah, so tell us about that. So he got to college, obviously making friends, moved into student digs. The build up to that moment, when did you sense something wasn't quite right from him?
No, he was always fine right up to the last minute. The first we were aware of anything was when the police came to the door and said they'd been found in one of the toilets in the campus, in the halls of residence. And he died. Up until then, everyone was fine. He'd been talking to us during the week on the phone and everything. And of course, that was the world came crashing down then. Nobody there for us, no one to talk to. Basically, the police came, knocked the door, 6:10 in the morning, and said, your son's gone.
He's died of a drugs overdose.
And that's it. The whole world just collapsed inside then. And then they just walked away. And that was it. Basically it. There's no police liaison officer, no family officer, nobody to talk to. It was just right there. It was uniformed officers, obviously, that came to the door, who weren't from Edinburgh, and they couldn't really tell us much at all.
That was it. End of conversation. Someone walks in and says that, your whole world's falling apart, and they just walk out the door, and you're sat there. Have I just heard what I've heard?
I mean, it does stick in my mind because there was 2 officers there, and one couldn't even really look at us. She just basically was looking at the pictures on the wall and things like that. Didn't utter one word. It was all left to the one officer to deal with it.
It's horrific to even imagine what that must have felt like. I mean, when the police officers told you what happened to your son, you must have been in disbelief, thinking this can't be true. I mean, how were you feeling when they broke that terrible news to you?
I just found it hard to believe. And in fact, I actually said, are you sure? And, you sure he was involved in a car accident or something? Because that was up here. And earlier on, we were talking about weather conditions. It was actually snowing that morning. And I had this fear that he'd been driving and he'd had an accident. And they just, as Mandy said, they said it was a drugs overdose. And went, no, he's something he's never been involved in. His friends weren't involved in. And because of my knowledge of Speedway and his knowledge of Speedway, that it's a sport that doesn't tolerate drugs. So I thought, no,
random
it's
tests.
not going to happen. Yeah, there's random tests at tracks, and A, he wouldn't want to get involved in it, but B, he wouldn't have been able to face the embarrassment of his friends, to turn around and be involved in something like that. So I knew it was something he would never have been involved in.
It was something that's never been in our lives. It's never touched any part of our lives, really,
Yeah.
So
it just doesn't make sense. Ultimately, he knew something straight away wasn't right there, because, as you said, the two don't marry up. So with that situation, they said it was drugs overdose.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that, wasn't there, in terms of...
Yeah, as it went on and the investigation started to find out exactly what it was, we were adamant it wasn't drugs, and we spoke to the CID, said, no, we're not taking this on board at all. And obviously they did the post-mortem, which also included a toxicology report. And once the police got the toxicology report back, they found the equivalent of 5 ecstasy tablets in his system with no alcohol. They found out that there had been a party event going on within the campus. They were finding out bits and pieces from people, and the police then started to change their attitude, because at first they thought it had been someone experimenting with a drug. They thought he'd been experimenting, but once it was equivalent of 5 ecstasy tablets, the alarm bells even started ringing within the CID. Someone who's experimenting would never take that. No. Someone who knows about drugs would never have taken that amount. So the whole thing didn't fit into what they thought was their easy brush under a carpet routine.
They were led to believe that he'd been drinking and he was drunk, and they interviewed, what was it?
71
people. And they, like I said, they were led to believe that he was drunk, and two guys put him to bed because they thought he was drunk. But obviously it came back that everything they'd been told wasn't the truth. He wasn't, obviously it was from being spiked.
Yeah.
That give that effect across.
Believable. And that's quite a shocking thing to kind of, as you say, having to piece together, in terms of, it wasn't, the police conclusion was a drug overdose, but there was much more to it than that. It was the fact that his drink has been spiked.
That's the thing. And I mean, the police were slow to investigate stuff, and we did a fair bit of digging ourselves and sort of pushed them along, because I thought, I'm not going to sit back and just wait for them to do it. So I doing things myself. And I think that's what G'd them up as well. And then there was things started to filter back. And the police officers told us people were being told to keep quiet and things like that. So they knew there was something amiss. But even despite all of the investigations, no one was ever prosecuted for it.
They had their eye on two people, but they just could not get it over the line enough to prove it.
His exact words were, using his police sixth sense, he thought he knew which one had done it. He just didn't have enough evidence.
And that's basically what it came down to, not enough evidence.
Yeah.
So with that unimaginable situation that you find yourselves in, and you said that the time when the police came to your door and they told you this terrible news, that you felt that, you were just left, literally just in the abyss, no support. How did you begin to sort of manage that situation and deal with it? I mean, where did you start? I mean, I can't even imagine, really, to be honest.
We just wasn't going to let it lie. Someone had done something. We had gone to the drugs. We'd gone to alcohol. We'd gone to mental health, and no one was interested. No one wanted to talk to us. They were saying, drugs were saying it's drink was saying it's drugs. And in the end, we realized that what had happened to Greg was this big black hole, and no one, people were falling down it, and they were just getting forgotten. And there was no way we was going to allow that to happen. We had lost our son, and then we started thinking to ourselves, how many more people have been in this situation? I still want to know how many parents, members of the family have been told someone has died of a drugs overdose, and it wasn't a self-inflicted drugs overdose.
That's a very important point you make there. Very, very important point, because as you say, just because it's a general conclusion that they've come to, that's not necessarily, as I say, the devil's in the detail and what actually happened. So there's a lot to be said for that. And that's a very valid point that you made. So do you feel that the pain that you were feeling, you were sort of channeling that pain into, like, we would need to find out what's happened here and come to some kind of conclusion of what's actually gone on here? I mean, did you feel that it gave you focus in a way?
It did, because to begin with, people were saying to me, obviously the GP, he offered medication. I can give you tablets to make you sleep or something. And I thought, no, I don't want anything to do with that. And then I had friends say, look, come out, have a few drinks, just, have a blitz. And I thought, well, what's the point in that? It doesn't take it away. Yeah, you can go and get drunk and forget about it for half an hour or a couple hours, and then you wake it up. It's still there. It's made no difference. Same with the tablets. You can get put on these tablets that mask something, but at the end of the day, there's no difference, and you can just become addicted to these tablets.
Yeah.
So we wanted to channel our energies in some way, and focusing on that was what really sort of drove me forward. That was my kind of medication, as in, this is what I'm going to do. I don't want someone else going through, what we've gone through. I want to create a change. There's nothing there. I'm going to put something there. Never for a minute thinking we would get as big as we have done, but I just wanted to go out there and say, yeah, I'm taking on this challenge to help people who could end up in the same position as us, and focused on that. And that, I thought, was a much better way of kind of
doing something,
self-healing in a way, than either hitting the bottle of tablets or the bottle of booze.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go that way.
It's a very fine line, isn't it? Because you can go one way or the other. And as you said, you sort of channeled your energies into saying you don't want this to happen to anyone else or to go through something as horrendous as that. Because as you say, the cases are on the rise, and this is unbelievable that people go out, or even in their general vicinities, that, drinks are getting spiked. It's unbelievable. So when you channeled those energies into this amazing charity that you set up, the incredible work that you've done is a testament to your characters. But where does that come from? Because you're a normal family and this situation just came from nowhere. How did you process it amongst yourselves? Because that must have been very, very difficult.
Because of what we've gone through, like you said, we didn't want anyone else to go through it. We didn't want anyone else to sit at home and have no one to talk to. With it happening to us, we knew what pain you can go through. And with people contacting us and speaking to people all the time, we're learning how it's affecting other people as well. Yeah. So it makes us more determined to go forward. Yeah, we get days where we think, why did we ever start this? It's never ending. And at the moment, it is never ending. But then all of a sudden, you get a bonus in there where you've helped someone and they've come back and said, I was so close. I was about to commit suicide until I spoke to you. I was in seconds, and then I picked the phone up to you. And that's when you realize, well, we are doing something. We are helping other people. We started it for Greg, and we'll always be doing it for Greg, because his legacy. And we're actually walking his line. He wanted to do TV media. And we sit there sometimes and think, we shouldn't be here, it should be him. Or is this him pushing it through us?
That is a fascinating way that you look at it, and you kind of described it, because I do believe that sometimes you're sort of gently pushed in a direction that you never foresaw that you would be in. And it's interesting you should say that about your son.
We don't know anything about drugs. We don't know anything about spiking. It was something that never, ever touched our lives. It was something we never, ever thought would, come to us, because it just wasn't there for us. We were just normal, everyday people. And then when you're hit with something so drastic, and then you're thinking, this has happened. You know, this has happened to us, and we can either lay down and die, or we can take the bull by the horns and try and move it along. I remember one of my daughters turned around and saying, she was really upset one day, and she said, "Is this going to split you and Colin up?" And we said, "No." Why? She said, "Because everyone splits up. When a child dies in the family, 9 times out of 10, they split up. It's actually made us stronger, more determined to get it out there and continue. You know, our aim was to make sure that it wasn't left as a girl thing. And they are focusing now on, you know, they do say male, female, and any other sex or whatever people want to call themselves. It affects anyone, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do.
As you say, channel those energies into your son's legacy, but to actually educate and understand that you are having impact on the phenomenal work that you're doing. In that mix, in that whole situation that you found yourself in, if you look back, because this was in 2017 that this happened, it's not that long ago. It's not that long ago, and he was very young. He was only
18.
It was,
as you say, because you're managing a situation, so you channeled your energies into this, but ultimately you are left with that situation. It's always there. So, as individuals, when you're not doing the charity work and the cause that you're sort of fighting for in a way, when you're in your house and it's just you, what works for you or manages that situation for you when you have those moments where you're like, I'm just not feeling good today?
Music, probably. I quite like listening to different types of music. I like to do that kind of thing. And I quite like reading books and taking it away. Mainly sci-fi, because I can go away into another planet.
Yeah.
It's having a like.
Yeah.
So that's the way I relax. And for a while I was still following the speedway. But even at home, you still don't get away from the spiking. You can still get the phone call that, you know, someone is in trouble and wants someone to talk to, and all of a sudden you've got to switch back to what you were doing. Put your spiking head back on. So yeah, but at home you can just get away for a while and just, I'm a Trekkie. I like to watch Star Trek and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely like all the sci-fi type stuff and just go away and into my own space.
And that's really important. It's incredible how strong you are as a couple, and also how you've dealt with the situation. As you said, you had no idea about spiking and what that even entailed. As you say, you lost your dear son, and I'm so sorry for that. But I think that the work that you're doing is incredible. And the fact, as you said, that it's kind of grown into this unbelievable cause. Tell us a bit about the work that you've been doing and the impact that you feel that you're having.
Well, we go into schools, and when we started going into schools to educate, it was 5th and 6th forms, just before they were going off to university or college, further education. But now the schools are coming back and they're agreeing with us. They want us to go in earlier to make it like your 2nd, 3rd, 4th years. So they're growing up with the knowledge. So the schools, the universities, we do Freshers Week. We're starting to work with St Andrews. We work with Drink Aware. We work with mental health. You reel them up.
We're going with the police before Christmas.
Yes, we go out with the police on the streets.
Right.
And talk to people. Obviously, we've got our phone line as well, so that we can talk privately and help people through situations and put them in the right direction. If we can't help, we try and put them into the right directions. A lot of our work at the moment is to get the law in. So we're in Parliament a lot, the Scottish and the English Parliament.
Yeah, we've got 2 parliaments to try and make spiking a standalone offence, which we just announced the King's Speech it was going to happen. So that's something we've been pushing for. So we've been down in Westminster, met MPs down in Westminster. We've been to the Scottish Parliament, met some of the MSPs. Some are really enthusiastic. It's got cross-party support, which is a great thing to see politicians from all parties supporting it. England and Wales have gone that stage further. They're bringing it in. We're hopeful Scotland and Northern Ireland will follow suit. So, so we sort of had to learn to cope with people on the grounds. And I said it last week, we'd done these talks with the politicians. We'd been out down at the Home Office and the Scottish Government. And then I did a lot of the media stuff. But when I was at Fife College last week, that was me back as I put it on the front line, talking to the people who are really going to come face to face with the dangers of spiking. And it's good to get the feedback from them and how they feel about it. And when you listen to them, you realise just how aware they're becoming now.
Very. It's the work that we didn't realise how strong we'd come across, to be honest. And when we had a meeting with the Scottish Police, and they were telling us that they go into the schools as well. And as soon as they mention spiking, they know. They said, so, if you don't hear it, you can hear it from us. Your impact is there, which we never thought we'd get any feedback on. But we work from the ground right up to the top.
That's incredible. And the fact of the matter is, as you say, you're in it. You are talking to those people face to face. That must be quite empowering. You're educating, you're having some impact. When you help others in that way, you can't actually quantify that, can you? It's an incredible feeling. Don't forget, when we started this, we knew nothing. All we knew is what happened to us and how we felt about it. Now, other people have taught us with their experiences. So we're helping each other. They're educating us in what went down for them. And then we're educating them of what we've been through and what we've learned. You go to mental health to do some training in mental health, which happened to Colin. And it was actually the founder of the mental health that was there taking the class. And she said to Colin, can you stay afterwards? And he said, yeah. And she said, well, what brings you here? He said, well, I'm hoping you can help me. And she turns around and says, sorry, Colin, we'll send everyone to you. You know better than us. And I said, I mean, what can you say to that? That says a lot about you. That says a lot about you.
Obviously, we're learning a lot more than what we're realising we're learning.
We had a journalist very early doors. And they said, how will you ever know if you're making a difference? And I still remember at the time saying, I'll never know, because no one's going to walk up to me and say, oh, I didn't spike the drink because of what you did or you said. But now when I look back, I'm seeing the new law coming in, the standalone law. I've been on Australian radio. There's a bit on American television just over a month ago, interviewed by Spanish journalists at Spanish TV News, did a feature on it. We're making a difference because people are now coming to it. I won't say what the channel is, but there's one channel where the producer just calls me up and says, it's Woody here. So it's not even an introduction as to what the channel is and who that is. It's Woody here. Can you do something for us on this show?
It's incredible.
And that's, you now know, we've made a difference.
You have made a difference.
Yeah, we've really got on well with all the media. Yeah, I'm sure if we'd done something wrong, it would be a totally different ball game. But I tell you what we're finding at the moment, a lot of students. Over the last couple of weeks, the amount of students, and Colin is dealing with 3 or 4 students every day to help them with their dissertations and stuff like that on spiking.
Thank you so much, Mandy and Colin, for sharing your story. And as I said, so sorry for the loss of your son, but this incredible work that you're doing is really making a difference in the community. If people want to help, it's spikeawareuk.org. And if they want to get in touch with you?
Yep, just contact us. There's the web address on it. There's an email on it. There's the phone number as well. There's a helpline on it. And there's always a donation button on it as well if somebody just wants to donate something towards it. Because when we go into schools, everyone, we give all the stuff away free of charge.
I'm going to be donating.
Would you like the number?
Yes, please.
I thought that's what she was hinting at. It's 07368 191124.
Thank you for watching and listening. I have certainly taken great inspiration from today's podcast story and hope you have too. If you have a story you would like to share, get in touch via my YouTube channel, The Spots of Time Podcast, and please do click subscribe or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Angela Kanwar.